Andy, man, how does it feel to be Andy today?
Today is a good day to be me. My house is empty. Everybody's quiet that's here, which would be a cat and a dog. And, I don't have to do anything other than this program and a whole bunch of paperwork for the rest of the day. I started working with large multifamily operators. Not quite national account level at that point, but they were local to Rochester. And Rochester has this really weird hub of very large multi-state multifamily operations based here. So kind of cut my teeth into that market locally. And then eventually it led to more national accounts where I was on a plane every 2 to 3 weeks. I had one client spending somewhere between $5 and $7 million a year with me, doing rehabs and turns, taught me their processes, family office. Had a couple of larger operators doing 2 to 6,000 doors that brought me in, and I helped them with stuff. They ended up being, before I was done, 20,000 doors. So I learned through the school of hard knocks very quickly what did and didn't work when you're dealing with something like the Home Depot.
Yeah.
And I left the Home Depot in 2018, ran a sales team for about a year, doing really high-end reclaimed wood product. So flooring, paneling, you name it. If it could be made out of wood, we did it. And we were doing stuff like Amazon and Facebook and like Amazon Blinks offices and all these different big projects. We did a huge project right before I left with Harvard, doing their Living Building Challenge project that took place 2019. And that's about it. Main thing I do today for people is I help them make more money. And usually it starts with something like, I think we're spending too much money on this. How can you help me? Or during the pandemic, it was, I can't find this. I need 150 suites of appliances for a property in New Jersey. I can't get them. What am I going to do? Okay, let me see if I can find this for you, because I have a lot of contacts in that industry, right? I spent 25 years dealing with VPs and C-level people doing huge purchases for other large contracts on these exact things. So let me reach out to some of my people at, GE or Bosch or whoever it is, and see if I can find something for you to fill this need. So that was some of what I did. Most of it now, the TCO method kind of came in because I left the job at the reclaimed wood place because a large multifamily operator called me. He was a vice president, just took over procurement and risk management, and wanted to pick my brain. He's like, you know everything we do, you know everything we buy, you know how we handle our contracts. Where would you start if you were me? Half-hour coffee turned into a 3.5-hour long conversation that ended with, you should be doing this full time. Oh, yeah, maybe I should be doing this full time, actually. So I filed an LLC a couple weeks later, started working with his company shortly after I left the job at the reclaimed wood place. It was about a month and a half of lag time in there, because I wanted to try and make it to a year, and I gave my 2 weeks, so my last day would fall exactly on the 1 year mark. And he was like, "You can just leave." I turned in my credit card and my keys, and I left the day I turned in my 2 weeks. But it is what it is. Still do things to cut the labor side down. So the TCO method is really all about minimizing your exposure, minimizing your risk, and minimizing your labor costs over time without doing, deferred maintenance, without getting rid of headcount. Like, there's nothing in what I do that recommends, oh yeah, well now you have all these things in place, so now you can go to, one maintenance guy for every 130 doors instead of every 100 doors. Like, that's not part of the program. I'm sure there's people out there who do that, but the program really just works on building efficiencies so you can get ahead of stuff and do things on more of a preventive maintenance standpoint. So there's a software suite out there that kind of integrates in with a whole bunch of ERPs, right? Like OneSite, ERD, whatever. And it focuses on the preventive maintenance thing, and it actually basically pays for itself because it helps your team schedule ahead. Before things start to go sideways, it keeps track of, this was done this year, typical lifespan is this. Start thinking about doing this now, and it helps you prep your reserves, it helps you prep your cash flow, it helps you prep all of your maintenance service and stuff, so that you're not just reacting constantly and spending that money to take the call or take the ticket off the online portal to then generate the thing, go to the unit, see what's wrong, go back to the shop, get stuff, or drive to Lowe's. So you want to reduce that that windshield time. You want to reduce the overhead and operating costs of actually dealing with the stuff by just avoiding it is a lot of it. But it all looks at that long-term thing, that long-term value to you as an owner and what that returns to you in profit by boosting your net operating income. Because at the end of the day, if you're saving $1, it's like adding $2 to top line. Well, right now you can't really raise rent, right? Rents in most markets have capped. Maybe they're going down, right? We're seeing a huge glut of apartments that are going to hit throughout 2024 that are going to be rent ready. And we're going to see some markets are going to see actual decreases for the first time in years, right? Since before the pandemic. So how do you increase your NOI when you can't increase your rent, right? People aren't going to just decide that they're going to pay you to add a parking pass. They're not just going to decide they're going to pay you to use a on-site gym or a pool, or you know, if you decide to start doing one of those multi-level marketing cable and internet bundling services where you sell it to the tenants, like they're not necessarily going to buy into that. Are those ways to drive NOI? Yeah. Are they going to work? Time will tell, right? We're getting into some interesting times right now. How do you increase your NOI? Increase your NOI by building in efficiencies and saving money. Some of that is product, right? Some of that is personnel, but a lot of it comes down to just doing things smarter and being more efficient and avoiding those problems down the road. What I see in the marketplace, the system is very good for buy and hold commercial value add integrated operator owners. If you bring in a third-party property management company, I've seen really good deals with family offices where they bring in third-party property management and they JV on the property, where the property management company has skin in the game to the success of that property. That is an awesome way to get a third-party property manager to get efficient, because all of a sudden the profitability of the property becomes their problem, as well as the problem for whatever investor GP LP structure exists there already. Most third-party property managers do not have the capital to just buy into a property. So, you know, it's a tough ask, but there are certain ones out there that have done that. There's models out there that have succeeded in doing JVs and, you know, syndication structures where they could get that to function and be profitable and really make it almost like it was a vertically integrated deal, but it's not directly vertically integrated because they're still separate entities, except for at that very top JV level. I think it was March. I haven't looked at the numbers to close out 2024, but as of March of 23, it was an additional $5 million in annual recurring NOI back. And at the time, I could still say that was at a 6 cap because most of the properties I work on are value add, which puts them in that DCB+ market. I try to stay away from the luxury stuff personally, because I can move the needle a lot more at the lower end, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s stock product. But it was about $70 million worth of additional asset value at a 6 cap.